Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Season 4 of Stand Up and Stand Out. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the Nikki Green, and we are mixing things up this season. With my new book, Chameleon Mindset, launching, I want to share more of the book's concepts with all of you. I have also been blessed to expand my network throughout the podcast community and to other inspirational speakers. I want to bring more guests on to discuss these important topics together, so we're going to mix it up, no more interview format, and we're going to have some fun. So next up, we're going to do a few fun episodes. Hope you enjoy them. And don't forget to give us a like, a follow on your favorite podcast platform. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stand Up and Stand Out. I am so excited. Today, we're going to talk to Janine Bolon, who is my friend and mentor, and she's going to share some terrific advice with us today. Hey, Janine, say hi and tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, what's wonderful is I got to be on this incredible show with Nikki when we have totem animals that are almost the same, identical. And I'm just so thrilled that we get to talk about law of attraction and we get to talk to people who are in need of this information. So I promise you, we will give you meat and not just milk.
Love it. Love it. Well, for those of you who haven't gotten into Chameleon Mindset yet, one of the main things in there we talk about is evolving your law of attraction. And the reason I use the chameleon at the center of all of this is because I found this amazing study which said chameleons aren't hiding when they change color. And I thought this for the longest time. I thought they're kind of like ostriches, they're burying their heads in the sand, but that's not actually true. And so I thought this was a good metaphor for many of us, is that when a chameleon changes color, they're trying to attract the things they want in life. A mate, food, a temperature change if it's getting too hot for them. So these are all great attributes, right? But when a chameleon changes color, they don't stop being a chameleon. Just like us, when we're adapting to the things in our environment and we're trying to get to the things we like, then we still are ourselves at the center. And so lots of great topics in there, Janine. Why don't you start us off? What are your thoughts? And I know you've read a little bit of the book.
Yes, first of all, thank you. And if you haven't picked up a pre-order copy or a copy of the book, it needs to happen. Because some of the stuff that Nikki talks about, you're sitting there going, oh, I don't know how to go forward with whatever is happening. And everything and all the skill sets that I learned so I could get through college or get through high school are not serving me a one whit or iota as I'm sitting here in my life, then this book is going to help you. So I highly promote that book. And I'm an author myself. I've written 12 books. And so when somebody says, hey, read a few of my chapters, and I totally dive in and love what I'm reading, I'm going to kind of gab a little bit about that because I've read a few thousand books and I'm not over exaggerating. So anyway, just had to share that with everybody out there. You need to definitely take a look at what Nikki has to say about this. Now, as far as my ideas on the topic, I am living the life of my dreams. And it's one of those things that you hear that a lot on social media, especially where they talk about it being fake book. And a lot of people don't even hang out there anymore because it's just so toxic for some of the personality types. And I just wanted to let you know, it's really hard to then decipher who is it that's actually living the life they're saying, or they just rented that jet plane so they can stand in front of it for an hour and have their photo shoot in front of it. You just don't know. And so I wanted to let you know that I'm one of those people that, yeah, I actually took the advice that I found out from Ask and It's Given. I took the advice from Eckhart Tolle, and I have been reading such self-development, if you want to call it that, sort of self-help books ever since the 80s. And what I studied was the people that were actually living the life. And so I have the advantage that a lot of young people don't, which is I was reading and learning about this stuff before social media was a glimmer in the eye. A lot of it didn't kick off until 2005 when everybody was leaving that MySpace account for this new thing called YouTube, which wasn't YouTube like we know it now. That didn't happen until 2007. But one of the things that did come out was Facebook, and a lot of people started connecting, and it was, I really treasure those early memories of Facebook. And so I know I'm kind of an old fogey to some of a millennial or a 20-year-old especially, but I wanted to let you know that I'm one of those people that I'm old school. And because I was old school, I got a habit set up. I got a system set up so that anytime I find myself in transition, I know where to go and not be distracted by those people who think they're chameleons, but they're just flashing a bunch of disco ball colors at you. It's not the real deal, right?
Yeah, it's so true. And in the book, I call those folks zebras because it happens that they're trying to say they are standing out. They're trying to say that this is my authentic life, but it's just that Instagram perfect version of things. And beneath the surface, most of them are actually in turmoil. They're actually feeling so incongruent with the way that they're living and what's actually happening. It's really sad. And so I'm excited to really show people what it takes to be vulnerable, to be that chameleon, and show your true colors throughout your business and your personal life, and make sure that that's getting you to the things you want long term. So
okay, so let's get down to the meat of it, because that's what we promised. All right, let's launch. So the very first thing that I started doing back in 1996 is I started teaching people about debt-free living. Now, if you want to talk about a taboo subject in that era, the only thing bigger was sex. You weren't, like you sold sex, or you could use sex in, videos and all that kind of stuff. But no, you don't talk about this. It was taboo to be a speaker on the topic. So, and then the worst thing was, oh my God, I was a woman. So I was a woman, and number one, I was highly educated. I was an analytical biochemist. I didn't have any training in anything financial. It's just, I became a millionaire by accident because I was using this law of attraction thing. Well, I hadn't learned about law of attraction yet. So I just wanted to let you know that when it comes to people who actually are the millionaire next door, we look like everybody else. So we're not zebras by any stretch of the imagination. I love the book, The Millionaire Next Door, because I went, oh my God, was he in my backyard? Was he staring in my, when Danko and Stanley came up with that book, I was like, oh my gosh, because I was actually living that life. Now, the beauty about where we are now is the fact that when people say, oh, you need to be your authentic self, please realize, go back to Shakespeare. Now, I know that's super old school. We're at the quill and ink pen stage. But Shakespeare had it right. To thine own self, be authentic. To thine own self, be true. And that is a tough road. And for the people that are in their 20s and 30s right now, I just want to let you know, you have my compassion. You don't have my sympathy, because that means I don't understand where you're coming from. You don't have my empathy, because I'm not going to walk that road. My road I already have walked. So you have my compassion. I know what road you're on. And you're also in a different terrain, because you are doing this post 2020, which was the big reboot. It was the big reset for the entire world. So the world you're living in was inconceivable, to use the Princess Bride, inconceivable to anybody like me that was doing this stuff in the 90s. So how do you navigate that? Let's give you some tips on that. Number one, to thine own self be true. What are you talking about? That means you sit in meditation for 3 minutes a day, because it's the only way to block out all the other stuff going on in your life. Now, when I talk about meditation, I don't mean Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is you sit still, and focus on nothing but your breathing. And then when you get bored and your brain starts really kicking into high gear, calm down and relax and get into that highest feeling thought you possibly can. And when you'll feel yourself almost start to vibrate, you almost start to hum. And when you're in that place, you're changed your colors. You're a chameleon. You are as authentic as you can be in that moment. Move into the world with that place. Now, if you don't like what I just shared with you, guess what? There are about as many different ways to meditate as there are people on the planet. Keep trying until you find the right one that puts you into the highest frequency. Now, I'm an analytical biochemist. Most of the work I did was on sound and frequency waves. And so I love frequency, because I know exactly what they're talking about when they say change your frequency, change your life, change the way you're thinking, change your life. And I'm like, yeah, but we're chameleons. Thinking is just almost rote. It's almost what we do. You have to go deeper. You're going to need to go deeper than the common person. There is no one that's common. Now, I get that. But you're going to have to move in a different direction than what you see the rest of the herd doing, because you're not a zebra. You really are a chameleon, especially if you're listening to this channel. So that's tip one. Start taking control of your emotions and take control of your breathing. That will help you with meditation. So take back your life. In order to be authentic and to be true to yourself, you have to take back your life. And that sounds really drastic, but guess what? You have never been a lukewarm person. You've always been a take charge, get out there, make it happen. God, I hate that. Don't you just hate that? You're saying that to other people. I'm like, thank God you hate it. Now go change it. So you're having to do the flip now. You don't like what's happening. Go change it, and you'll find cheerleaders and people like me who are the old school, we're the 55 to 65 group, and we're here cheering you guys on because we know to be authentic and to truly make that change in the world, it starts with yourself. So how do you go about doing that? Oh, you meditate. What? And my generation was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, don't do something, sit there. And they're like, and do what? No. Don't do, be. And that's where the 20 to 35-year-olds have it on lock. You guys know about the be, just being. Now get your breathing under control and start getting control of those emotions that kind of flare up on you. Figure out what triggers you so that you can take steps and make systems to avoid that.
I think that's so great. And something so important about getting back to you and what's important. When I worked in Silicon Valley, it was all those things that people told you were supposed to be doing, right? Get the title, go get the car, go get the paycheck, go do all these things. And that was going to solve all of the way you felt. And most of us felt really empty. And like you said, during 2020, we had a huge reset and everyone started to look around at those things and realize that wasn't actually what excited us. And it was great because as a part of my last company, I went to Omaha. I went to lots of places, but I went to Omaha, Nebraska, and people are like, oh, Omaha, Nebraska. But it's actually an amazing town. And one of the things I did is I drove by Warren Buffett's house while I was there. You know what his house looks like? Nothing like anything in Silicon Valley, that's for sure. And he owns way more and does more with his money than, most of the Valley combined. And so it's really thinking about and resetting what those expectations are for yourself and what it really means to achieve success for your life, personally, professionally, all those things. So I think that deep thought and meditation is the perfect time to do those things. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and we're going to see what Janine's number 2 and 3 are. Hi everyone, Nikki Green here, and I am here to tell you that Chameleon Mindset is on its way. If you'd like to learn more about the Chameleon Mindset book, the online course that'll help keep you motivated and doing some of the fun Karate Kid exercises, go to chameleonmindsetbook.com and you'll find more information about pre-sales, bonuses, and so much more. Hi, Janine. Welcome back from commercial, and we're ready to hear what are the secrets 2 and 3.
So secret 2, yeah, I wish it was a secret, but it's so blatantly obvious. And what's so funny is for chameleons, they get this, but zebras don't. And one of the things is, what do you want? That's really it. What do you want? And I have found, like I was telling you earlier before commercial, that I started off teaching people money, the 60-40 principle, how to live debt free. And now you have this whole minimalistic era that has hit the planet, which I absolutely love. But one of the things is it's all about saving money for them. It's all about like whittling it down to what's really important to you. Experiences are important, not things. And I love it. No matter how extreme you feel you need to go, if not at all, right? Maybe you like your collection. Maybe you want to keep that 257 teddy bears that you have in your house. It's kind of up to you. What brings you that joy? What brings you happiness? But it truly comes down to what is it that you want? People who have collections usually have a mindset or a mentality that's their archivist. They're the old, if you remember the old Bionicles, maybe I'm talking to the right group here. I remember the old Bionicles where you had the archivist. Well, people who have these huge collections are almost archivists. And so I honor them. So don't worry about the minimalistic side of things. If you feel like your personality is an archival, like you're a chameleon who needs to archive because you're worried that people are going to forget how to change appropriately or whatever. It's been amazing, this journey that you and I have been on, Nikki, as we look at all these different ways that people are being authentic to what they want. Now, sometimes, and this happens occasionally to especially my 33 to 35-year-olds, they look at me and they go, Janine, I have no idea. I have no idea what I want. I've been told what I should want. I've been told what I do. I've been told what I'm good at. But what do I want? I've really never taken the time. This is where I encourage you to take 4 days off, go to an Airbnb. God, I love Airbnb, by the way. It's not a plug. I don't get any money, but I love it. I go to an Airbnb and I rent a house for just me. And I go to that house and I sit in that house and I buy the groceries I want, and I have the freedom to sit there and say, oh, I can do anything I want. And people are like, well, Janine, can't you do that in your own house? Well, no, because the house is something I have to care for. Or if it's an apartment, I have to take care of it. And I'm looking at all the things I have to care for. If I go to an Airbnb and I'm in somebody else's house, there's a freedom of movement. And so go on a retreat of some kind. And if you're like, Janine, must be nice for you, I don't have that kind of cash to be able to do that, then figure out what is your retreat. Can you go there for 4 hours where you're going to do nothing but just have that conversation with yourself? And usually most people, unless you're working 3 jobs, and some of you are the working poor, and I get that, especially if you're listening to Nikki, because she gives you that inspiration that you need. But if you're in that place, then give yourself 30 minutes to just sit and think. There are times where you sit in front of the TV and veg because you're so exhausted, or you're sitting there watching Netflix and you're watching a season just because you want a break from your life. Hey, that's therapeutic. Do that. But really take time and schedule it on your calendar if you can, to give yourself that 4 hours. And the whole purpose of that 4 hours is to be free and just enjoy freedom. And that freedom is to think what you want, eat what you want. Don't worry about the diet. Just pig out on something that you've told yourself you shouldn't have for too long. And what you're doing is you're trying to figure out what it is that you want. And sometimes it takes something extreme like that to make that happen. And if chameleons are anything, there are times they're super extreme. Let's check out the speed of that tongue. That's extreme, people.
Yeah, exactly. I love this. In last season, we talked a bit about refilling the well, and I post when I'm doing my refilling the well exercises. And I think these are important for everyone. You know, even if you think you kind of found your path and you're not totally lost, but you need to have new experiences. And the beauty is, you know, there's a lot of ways you can go to museums for free. You can go out in nature for free. Just getting outside and out of your normal routine is so important to break that barrier between just staying on autopilot and doing the same thing and not really starting to try and learn about other things to figure out what you might like, you know, what might be important in your personal life or professional life, either way, wherever the thing is that's making you unhappy and you're still living on the I should, how to find the way of I could be doing something else.
I love your museums. I'm a sucker for museums. I'm always inspired. I don't care if I understand one iota of what they're doing. Some of them more modern art, I have to admit, is beyond my acumen. And so what I do is I grab some curator and I go, why did the museum get this piece? I don't understand it. And that's where the magic is. It's the story behind the story. And that's where I find the magic in life. Is I'm like, why did you think that this 90% empty canvas with this splotch of paint was something worth considering? Because I'm not getting that message. Come to find out, there's a whole story behind that splotch of paint that I didn't even know about, because they can't put it on the 3x5 little lacquer sign that's beside it. The other thing I love doing is, you know, I was talking to you about that Airbnb. Why don't just sit in the Airbnb? I get on Google Maps and I go, where's the closest museum? Yeah, there's so many local museums. And then if you let them know, hey, can I make an appointment? Is there any, what's the charge? A lot of them are donation only. I'm like, sign me up. And can I take pictures with you? Can I take a selfie? Let's get you some promotion. You know, I'm always thinking like that. But so that's kind of item 2 is, what do you want? Simple question. But believe it or not, I asked that same question of a family member for 30 years. To this day, they still can't answer it. Mm-hmm. They are a successful professional. Do not think for a moment they are not a contributing member to society. Literally, they have trouble answering that question, which is why I think I'm such a good coach, is because, and I always thank that family member for not knowing what they want, because I have learned every way you can ask that question and not ask that question. So I'm very grateful to them for being in my life.
I love it. Yeah, I think that one's good. And so share with us number 3. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Okay, ready? All right. So here you go. So we've talked about how meditation, which is the inside landscape. And then the second one was go out to the external landscape and be inspired by the external landscape. Number 3 is, what have you created today? Create something every day, even if it's a conversation. Create a conversation. Call somebody. All right. Call somebody up. Create that conversation. Have you sketched? Have you done any singing? And see, I'm also a shaman. So yeah, I'm this analytical person, but I also am a shaman. And when somebody comes to us and they have a health issue of some kind, whether it's spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical, the very first thing I ask them are our 5 questions. Who do you live with? What are you eating? When was the last time that you danced? When was the last time that you sang? When was the last time you created? So those are our 5 questions that are the basis and foundation to helping people determine why they're sick, why they're in dis-ease. It's because they're not doing what they were born to do, which is you're not creating. So it's all about that law of attraction, which is creating your perfect life. Well, guess what? That's a daily gig. And I don't know about anybody else, but being Janine Bolon is a 24/7 job, and I do it 365 a year, and I'm always on call. And so in order to be that kind of active creator, I always ask myself, when was the last time I danced? When was the last time I sang? When was the last time I sketched a doodle while I was waiting on Zoom for something? Am I creating every day, even if it's just a conversation?
That is such a beautiful number 3 to round us out. And I feel it. I can feel the difference. Even going into, my corporate job, and I knew I had a full day schedule, it was always start the morning with music, start dancing, whether that was at the gym, in the car, during my commute, or actually in the office itself. But it was also fostering community with everyone, creating something with ourselves. A lot of people that maybe are on the analytical or introverted side be like, oh, I'm not creative. I don't do those things, as if it's like there's one or the other. We all create in our own way, right? And I think it's getting back and getting comfortable with that you can be creative in anything that you do in life. It could be as simple as making something new for breakfast, right?
Well, and we were talking to you about the Silicon Valley, right? And I was in analytical chemistry for a long time. And so one of the things I like to share with the analyticals is like, hey, that's what we have shareware for, right? Go out and create a plugin or something. I mean, if you don't think you're creative, I'm sorry. I've seen software engineers create some things of absolute elegance and beauty. And I was like, what made you do that? That's incredible. That saves us. You see, if you save somebody time or save somebody money, they're a friend for life. Are you kidding me? Thank you. That's part of being a part of the collective. Thank you.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. These are amazing tidbits for our audience. I can't wait for all of them to start implementing it with us. As we go from the journal to the book and back again, I'm really excited to have my audience really start to implement some of these activities together. And Janine is in our Chameleon community, so don't forget to join us on LinkedIn, totally free for any of our audience before you even buy the book or any of that stuff. It's just free to start getting some mentorship, starting understand the methodology, and see how we can help in your life. Janine, thank you so much for being here today. This was amazing. I got many insights and reminders of how I should be checking in on myself on a regular basis. But before we go, why don't you let the audience know a little bit about how they can reach you, what you're up to, and any other cool stuff going on?
Well, the biggest thing is this. It's important that you stick with a community that you know, like, and trust. And so I can't say enough about what Nikki is doing and what she is putting forward and putting out there. So I highly recommend, if she says, go to LinkedIn and join the community and get some free mentorship, that's simple. That's easy. That's free. Anything that I can offer will just be a bonus to you. Okay. But really stick with Nikki because she knows what she's talking about. And my job is always to be a cheerleader to people who I see stepping out when it could have been so much easier to just stay hidden behind the shadows. And I've watched Nikki just do that. And so, yeah, you could come around, you sign up and be a part of my LinkedIn, you can do all that kind of stuff. But I really just think you need to be with this Chameleon Collective. It is unique. It's different. I've seen a lot of communities. This one is unique. This one understands you in a way that nothing else does. So highly recommend. Find out what Nikki Green is, who she is, what she writes. And then if you decide to figure out what this older woman that's kind of this crazy boomer, kind of Gen X crazy person, then you can go on LinkedIn and find me on Janine Bolon.
Awesome. Thank you, Janine. We're going to dance our way off here, and we'll have our podcasting crew give us some good music to sign off to. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday or New Year or whenever you happen to be listening to this. And you can catch our show, Stand Up and Stand Out, where all the cool kids hang out that do podcasts. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Hi, everyone. Nikki Green here, and I am here to tell you that Chameleon Mindset is on its way. If you'd like to learn more about the Chameleon Mindset book, the online course that'll help keep you motivated and doing some of the fun Karate Kid exercises, go to chameleonmindsetbook.com and you'll find more information about pre-sales, bonuses, and so much more.